what I've learned about resentment in terms of friendship, a lot of resentment, I believe resentment can be mitigated with check-in conversations.
Yes.
Right? Just checking in. If you can see that your friend has been hurt by something you did, whether you were aware of it or not, just checking in.
I think that's good on you.
You know,
if you could do that, because I think
we're clear, right, guys?
Yeah. No, but I agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of in a friend situation, a lot of like if you're not spending this time working on yourself or whatever, the ego shows up way too much, and it's so hard for your friend to even say that. Right? And I think as a friend, you just chalk it up and you move on and continue with that relationship. Yeah. It's not necessarily healthy.
It's having the courage to do it. Like I saw you do that when we went to Niagara Falls.
When we went to Niagara. Yeah.
I saw the effect of like catching the little hurt. I saw firsthand him doing exactly that. He saw a little bit of hurt, and instead of like letting it go to grow into resentment, he addressed it right away. And then it was dissolved.
You hurt someone, or somebody else was just
intentionally?
Someone was being hurt.
Was being hurt by
by actions taken.
Yeah.
It was unintentional. It's something that triggered her.
So I just want to get clear, something based on what you did, or just in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they just took it the wrong way. Yeah. And it was very obvious that they were upset and holding on to upset the whole time, just being upset the whole day. And so eventually, finally, I just said, "Hey, okay, let's clear the air. What's going on with you right now? What's coming up for you? Let's talk about it. You're still holding on to something." And then we talked about it, and then we got clear because what I said, she took it in a way that I definitely didn't mean.
With her story, that's the thing.
It was her story. It was her shit. Right?
Interesting. Yeah. So she got triggered by something that you did. It was reflecting on something else that she.
100%. So we got clear on that, and then it was all good. And she was actually thankful that came up because she didn't. It was an unconscious pattern for her. She just. Yeah. It reminded her of something, and she just went into quiet and distant.
This is so interesting because so I went through something similar with somebody else, and we were working together on a project, and it's like, you know, someone who I consider a friend, and I brought her on the project and stuff, and we didn't want the project to kind of affect our friendship, and I could see that there was tension arising through working together on this project and stuff like that, and it was kind of like a similar situation. It was just kind of bothering me to the point where I just said fuck it and literally picked up the phone and just called her and just talked it out and said, look, like, our friendship is more important than what we're going through here, and like, let's just kind of hash this out. And she was so grateful for that conversation, and she said straight up that she wished that she would have, you know, had that conversation with me and would have called me like a week ago, but just didn't do it. And like, I think it's just a great lesson to be able to pick up the phone and call and not be afraid to have those confrontations, because in the end it's going to really I think improve the friendship.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and having that conversation from both you and I supported them in their own awareness.
Yeah.
Right? Because
even for myself as well.
And for yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Just practicing that.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up often.
And it wasn't like a comfortable conversation, but it was something that I knew had to happen. And I was almost doing it from a selfish reason because it was eating at me and bothering me, and I was like, yeah. And like, I think that's good, and like, I think a lot of people have a hard time doing that.
Of course.
It's just having the language for it. Like, how do you start that? Because I learned from a coach to start a challenging conversation the way I did.
Do you think it's fair to say though, like, we've been conditioned not to have those conversations?
Yes. Well, I don't know about conditioned, but definitely not taught. Because they didn't have that skill. You know, the people that showed up were the way showers for us. They didn't have those emotional awareness tools.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I was conditioned not to deal with my emotions and feelings. I was conditioned more to keep them suppressed and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because it's observation, right?
Yeah,
so the people that were around us, I know in my life, my parents, like, there's a lot of stuff they just didn't talk about.
Yeah, but that's
everything was
where does
in,
that?
and then resentment and fight or whatever type thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of think that's the way it's supposed to be.
So then think about, where does that come from them? Were they taught that as well? Is this key?
Of course. It's inherited, bro. Everything about our culture is inherited. Like, human beings have done the best that they know how to do, from every human being to the last one. Like, and that's why our culture looks the way that it is. And it's about now that we're from the limitation of our global level of consciousness, but you're starting to see more and more growth and more tools and more awareness, even, on the West, where conscious capitalism is a thing and a thought, where you're seeing more and more businesses where a bedrock, or at least an intention to start, is to give back as foundational to their business, not just when I make X amount of money, I'm going to put a little money. No, we make this money to give to these people and also feed ourselves. That's part of the business model. That's just that's just an evolutionary thing of human.
That company,
Tentry, for example.
It's a great example. I bought a hat from specifically because I knew that when you buy a hat, they plant 10 trees, or you buy something, they plant 10 trees. That was part of the reason why. Yeah, it's a great initiative.
Really cool.
But even conversations like this, and even talked about Tony Robbins and Michael Singer, that interview, just being able to go on the internet and have access to all that kind of stuff. And that's why I love what we're doing, because we can contribute to that. And
yes, hopefully. Also.
In conclusion, resentment is a byproduct of hurt. I think in more contemporary relationships in our life, it is a result of being hurt by someone going against our values over and over again, consistently, right? Yeah, a repeated pattern of going against our values that hurt us, and then we start resenting them. But if it's a caregiver, like in my situation, then it very likely goes back into childhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it does for me.
I don't think there's anybody that don't have at least a little bit of resentment towards their parents at some point. I don't think it's possible.
That whole human thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just depends.
I would challenge that. Yeah, I mean, just think about there's a lot of good parent-child relationships and stuff like that. Maybe there isn't. Maybe,
It's what's the charge that's around it is the question. Is there any charge?
I would agree to the statement that I think everyone at some point has felt resentment towards something or someone.
Of course,
But the parent thing, once upon a time I probably would have agreed with that.
Yeah.
But I am seeing there are better, I guess, parent-child relationships, and the ones that I'm seeing or I'm identifying with are ones that are more about the parent is more guiding the child as opposed to trying to control them and stuff. And there are very healthy relationships in that sense. And I've seen some of them and even I think Dr. Shafani is it. She teaches a lot of this stuff, and that's part of her work is to get parents to be more conscious and stuff. And I like to hope that my kids don't grow up to resent me. I gotta think that's possible.
How old is Chloe?
She's 5.
Yeah, so you have at least 13 more years. So hold your breath, tighten up, and pray that she doesn't feel resentment to it, or just be okay with whatever happens.
I would say manage your expectations.
I would say dissolve them all together and just love her to the best of your ability. And what happens.
Yeah, and some things are just out of your hands. You got to do that.
Man.
Just do what you do.
So
and recognize how you're kind of showing up for them, and my whole thing with the children is just guiding and not controlling. The lesson that I got from, I think it was Dr. Shafani when I heard her talk, and it always just stuck with me. And that was her big thing, is that a lot of parents feel like they have kids and that their kids become their property, and just they went to the store and bought something, and then when they get out of line, they use fear and anger to try to control them, try to keep them in check, and I just don't think that's the right approach. Cool.
Nice.
All right.
I think that concludes our conversation.